Hi, this is Chad from Blueberry Ridge Outdoors. I'm going to be putting an Inferno heater in a 2019 Polaris Ranger XP1000. I'm going to start by taking the doors off and taking the underpan skid plate off, and we'll go from there. Okay, so when you open the box, you get the instructions, which is just basic read-along instructions, step by step, so you can do it one step at a time. So just take your time. You get your vent hose, get a long section of coolant hose, of course the little radiator section with your 4 ports, which has the bracket on it already, zip ties, your quick attach to your bus under your hood, the wiring that goes directly to the heater. This is one of the Y's, a bunch of clips, and a T with a petcock. That's all for tying into your coolant system. A couple rubber grommets for going through your firewall. Of course, the Inferno switch for your dash. Some little metal clips. Your lower vents, which open up, which are just like very similar to stock for the North Star edition. And then your upper ones by your windshield, just like the stock North Star edition. Okay, it looks like we have some quality parts. Let's get started. But yeah, I got the doors off, so now we're gonna drop the skid plate on the bottom before I put it on the lift, so that's not in the way. So like I said, with the skid plate, it's gonna be dirty. So this is what it looked like. So they are an off-road vehicle, so expect this. So when if you happen to be under it, if you're gonna take that plate off, wait and take the last bolt off, which is the one up front here. The one that goes in here, right by the front center of the machine, and then pull it down slowly, and it's all gonna run to the back, and then you get to clean up the mess. So it should be better after this. This should be the messiest part of the job. So now that I got the skid plate off, the doors off, and I took the front windshield out, this one just happened to have a Polaris lock and ride windshield. So it was just the clips on the corner, just spin out, get them both facing up. Just get them both facing up and take it out very, very carefully and set it somewhere you will not break it. Okay, now the first step on the directions says take the hood off and take the top dash panel off. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So obviously to take your hood off, you just spin these 90 degrees, lift in the back, pull to the front, and comes right off. So the dash is just held on with push pins, so get yourself a good push pin tool. I have plastic and metal ones. Sometimes you gotta sharpen them to get in there, but works good. That's all there is to it. Just lift up the top half till it stops, and then pull the rest of it out. I can get over here so you can see it better. So to get this out, you take the 2 push pins out, and you just pull back towards the steering wheel. It comes right out. You just got one connector here. And you push right here with your thumb, wiggle it back and forth. Comes right out. That's how you take your gauge cluster out. So to get your ride command out, you have push pins right here. You got 2 T40s back here. Nice and easy. Don't drop them. They're just short ones. This comes out. You just unhook all the fasteners here. They're all automotive style. Just push the pins back, wiggle them out. That's one. Just gotta wiggle them. Wiggle them back and forth as you pull on them. It'd be kind of difficult getting your fingers in here, but where your pick tool comes in handy. So needle nose works good for these little ones in the back because they do have a depressor, but it's on the bottom side, so you can't really get your thumb in there. Very carefully, very easily depress it and pull. And there you go. Your ride command system is out. These can just stay there. These are a T25. Look like all the push pins on here are about the same size, which helps. So once you get a tool that can get one out, you just use the same tool. Okay, next it wants me to take out the cubby, the lower cubby here. So I'll show you what that's all about. So we got 2 push pins there, 2 on the side, one up here, and one up here. So a total of 6 push pins, and that should come right out. There, 6 push pins out. As you can see, slides right out. So next we're going to take the switch cluster off to make it easier to put the switch in. So you just got 2 push pins under here. So once you get these 2 push pins out, you pull it out and down, and it comes right out. And you have full access to everything. Okay, now to cut the hole, we just used a razor blade, a utility knife, and this is what we ended up with. Now we just set this in there and push it till it snaps in. Looks good. So that's what it's going to look like. Customer decided to put it dead center, so that's where we put it. I got room on both sides to put more switches in. Alright, let's hook up the wiring. So now with the stock wiring, this end goes to the rocker switch. And you got to look at it very carefully so it goes on the right way. So the contacts are on the left, so this goes in here like this. Push it nice and hard till it clicks in. And you take this end, this goes through the firewall into the bus bar. Like that. And we need to pick which one we're going to use. Okay, we're going to pick which one we want. We're going to take this apart, take this plug out, and then a plug. So for now, we're going to leave this white. This is where the heater plugs in, but we don't have the heater mounted yet, so we're just going to leave this hang for now. Down in here. And we can mount this back up. And just leave this dangle down here for when we put the heater in. So when you cut your lower louvers in, you have a diagram, cut that out. Now I'm just going to use a pilot hole. Now I'm going to use a 2.5 inch hole saw to cut that out. So now we're on the driver's side. We're gonna drill a 2.5 inch hole on the right next to the gas pedal. That's where the other one goes. So now that we have the holes drilled, I'm going to cut two 24-inch pieces of the duct material. Stretch it out. Give yourself plenty. Just snip the wire. Just like that. Okay, now we're going to put the 24-inch piece on the lower louver, which is the round ones. They unscrew. So there are two pieces. So you take these little clips and you put them so the smooth side is in and this little clip is on the up side to grab the piece of duct that we're going to be putting on here. You take the duct, you put it over it, start on one end and just kind of work it around. You get it up over it. It's going to be snug. That's good. I'm going to pull it up tight all the way around. And we're going to grab one of the zip ties that was provided. We're going to zip tie it on nice and tight. That ain't going anywhere. We're going to just cut the tail off. And this part screws right back on there. So in order to install this piece, we're going to unscrew it. Stick the louver in the hole. I'm going to screw it on from the back side. Okay, the direction says you screw it on from the back side because it swivels. So get it tight from the back side. Get it tight from the back side and then just let that hang because we'll be using that when we put the heater in. Now let's go to the other side. Okay, to cut out the dash louvers, I'm going to use a Fiend Multimaster. It's just a oscillating tool. A lot of different brands make them now, corded, cordless. But it's fairly loud, so all it does is go back and forth. So that's what I'm going to use to cut this out. So if you have one of these, great. If not, you can use a razor blade. Just heat it up with a torch and it should go through like butter. So turn your top dash panel upside down, put it on a surface where there's nothing below it. Support it on two sides like I have it here. And then go ahead and cut it out on the embossed on the back side. Now on the top side it's not going to be embossed, but it is on the back side. I measured everything and the embossing is right on the money as far as dimension. So just cut right on the embossed area and you should be fine. Now I'm just going to clean it up with the file. So I get these lights from Harbor Freight. You can get them on sale for $20 or $25. They're really nice. They're rechargeable. They have a magnetic base for working on vehicles, whether it be side-by-sides, trucks, cars, whatever. So they have a magnetic base, but they don't stand up real well. So what I do is I use just a piece of metal when I want it to stand up on a workbench or overhead or something. I'll attach them to just a piece of scrap metal. So then I can position it however I want it. That's what I use to cut out the dash. So pretty slick. You can maneuver it however you want it. A pretty heavy duty magnet, so it works out pretty well. Or just a brawn light. Just a little tip, if you need to do some work on your bench and you want a good bright light, that's how I do it. Directions say straight up from the figure 8 embossment. We're going to draw a line, so we're going to do that now. So right here, I'm going to draw an outline of the embossment area, just so you can see it better. There's the embossment, and there's my center line going straight up. So now we're going to drill one hole at the bottom of the bend and one hole at the top of the bend, and that should be perfect. Okay, it's pretty tight with a drill, but you can make her. Or not. It'll be fun holding that. There's one. One more one like Flynn. Ooh, yeah. You just barely fit a drill in there. There we go, we got two nice holes. I'm going to clean them out, and we put grommets in there, and we're good to go. This just is a standard deburring tool. A lot of different companies make them. This was made by Milwaukee. Works pretty slick. The smoother you make it, the easier the grommets are going to go in. There, smooth on the inside, smooth on the outside. Ready for the grommets to go in. So the grommets go where the bump out is, goes towards the front of the machine, like this. You just get them positioned. Start on the, I like to start on the bottom. There we go. There we go. Screwdriver. Oop. Screwdriver is definitely the ticket. Beautiful. Let's try about it. So yeah, just push with a screwdriver in the groove. You push the other side through. Perfect, just like that. Nice and flush. There we go. There, we got our upper and lower grommets in. Now the directions say, once we have the grommets in, the directions say to cut a 2 feet piece of heater hose, coolant line. So they have a mark every foot. So obviously the second mark, I'm gonna cut it right on the second mark. Just like so. So for the short 2 foot piece that you cut, you shove that through the upper grommet, and then you shove the rest of the hose in the lower grommet. All right, let's see if we can weasel that baby through. There, we got those. Got those through there. Okay, next we're gonna hook the heater up with these hoses. The top one goes to the bracket side, and then the bottom one goes obviously opposite the bracket. So before you try sliding these hoses on this heater, what I did is I put a thin layer of grease on there. And then I'm going to put these clamps on first. So we don't forget to put these on. Short one goes on the bracket side. There, all the way on there. This one goes. This one goes on the other side. So this is the short hose, this is the longer hose. All the way till they bottom out. There, we got them nice and snug. Okay, we have the heater hanging on the hoses. So when you do that, have somebody on the outside of the firewall, out here, pulling on the hoses while you lift it into place. And I'll show you from the top what it looks like. You bring it up, and you set it right on that ledge, just like that. So it says to, let me get it down here for you a minute. This factory hole right there, it says it's to be the right of that, which it has to be, because this other little thing sticking out here is going to be in the way. So we lift it up in place. so it's to the right of that other piece, which is perfect. Fits on there nice and snug. I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie. Okay. So we're going to mark this hole right here, making sure it's up nice and tight against the firewall. So we just marked the center of that hole. Now that we got it marked, we're going to take it down and drill it with an 1/8 inch drill bit. Try to weasel this right angle drill in here. Drill that 1/8 inch pilot hole. There we go. So then the self-tapping screw out of the kit. In this hole, you can barely fit a right angle drill in here, but you can get it. Nice and solid. Just like that. So in order to mount that top self-tapping screw in here, right here, what I did to get to the top of it was I took a bunch of shims and I shimmed out after I got all these push pins out of here, along here. I shim this out so I can go right down into there. So just so you can see what I'm doing, got an extension and a 3/8 shallow. On there. There, that isn't going anywhere. So putting these wedges in here really worked out well. I just take the wedges out. It all sits right back down. Perfect. So in order to make this easier to get at, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the front wheel off and the upper shock, the part of the upper shock. Get that out of the way just to make this simpler. You don't have to. I think you can get in there without doing it, but I'm going to take this apart and make it easier for myself. I'm going to take the tire off and take the shock off so I can get at these hoses back here. Just make it a little easier for me. So the shock mount is a 15 millimeter. Just going to zip this off real quick. So I'm going to put this Y in here to tie into the short hose. So I'm going to put it in this flat area here on the lower radiator hose. I'm going to mark it so I can cut a notch out of the hose for this part here. Just like that. Now that I got it marked, I can clamp it here and here, cut it here. Hopefully we can save some fluid. So I'm going to put a clamp here. Clamp that off. And a clamp over here. Hopefully out of the way. That should save a lot of fluid. I gotta get this one out of the way more. Like so. Now the only fluid we should lose is what's in here. Now it's time to cut it. What I like to do is I like to put just a little bit of light grease or oil. I use Vaseline, but that works. Right over the nipple parts. Makes the hose slide on way so much easier. It goes like that. Grab it underneath and grab it here. Pull yourself some slack. Get there we go. So we'll probably hook it to here and hook this one back to there. So we got them running a nice bend, nothing kinked. Now we can zip tie those back, put the shock back on. You should be in good shape. So now to get ready to put the shock on, I'm going to zip tie these back a little bit so there's room, not pinch anything. There, that's out of the way of the shock. Get that excess tucked away. That's good. Not kinked at all. And we're going to zip tie this other part here. So be careful, this hose, you gotta leave that hose loose. This hose here, you don't want to kink it. So don't put that in with your zip ties. Again, there we go. We're gonna take this clip here out of here. Just so that's not rubbing on the hose. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. We got that clip out of there because you don't want that rubbing on that hose. You don't need a problem on the trail. So then this hose down here, we'll go back in its clamp. There. No kinks. A little bit of room to move in there. That's good. Now we're not on anything metal here on this bend, so we're good there. Okay, let's put the shock back on. So now we got the front end taken care of. Everything's buttoned up, shocks put back on, tires back on, and everything is tied up out of the way. Let's show you what the finished product looks like. So we got the shock on there. We got the coolant lines tied up out of the way, no kinks in the line. Everything looks good. Nice, easy bend down into there. Everything's out of the way of all the moving parts. All right, now we head to the back and cut in the oil cooling line. So the first thing to do is to locate the oil cooling line. So on this particular model, this one does not have air conditioning, so the muffler is right in the side here. So I'll show you where it is. There's obviously the muffler. It's this line right here. So we got to cut that right in here, cut it and put that T-valve in here, the yellow handle. So it's that line right there. But before we do that, we're going to give ourselves some extra room. On this one, without air conditioning and the muffler isn't in the back, you can pull this pin. On a North Star, you won't be able to do this, because if you have a North Star, your air conditioning, you have to have the muffler in the back. So your muffler's right down there, and your tailgate will hit on the camera. That's not a good idea. But this one doesn't have that, so we're going to pull this pin. We're going to tip this bed straight up to give us more room. Just like so. I always put the pin back through so I don't lose it. Just like that. There, now we got a lot more room. So the bed went from this to straight up and down. It's hitting on the tires. No harm, no foul. So we're all good. Now we got more room to work. Easier to put your lights and stuff in here. So now we just got to reach down there and cut into there and put that T-valve in there. Okay, now I have it clamped from the bottom. I had to raise it up on the left and clamp it on the bottom. So now I can finish cutting it. There. Now I got it cut in half. I'm going to take my valve and put a little Vaseline on all the fittings here. Make it slide on easier. And we're going to put the clamps on before I put this on. Actually, you know what? We're going to do the clamps right now. So we're going to slide the clamps on so we can get at them decent. This clamp goes on like that. This clamp, probably want like this. Orientate them so you can get at them decent. See, like these, so you can get at them. Later on, I'm going to shove this one up as far as I can. And we don't have to do the third hose yet. We gotta still have another clamp for that one, but I can slide that one on before I put it on, because we're gonna have to cut that one to length. That one's way too long. They send you enough hose for a 6-seater, so you don't have to worry about having not enough hose. There's plenty of hose here. The valve has to go to the bottom, like this. So this big part has to be angling down at like a 45 here. And the valve has to be towards the bottom. Because what's going to happen is the fluid's going to come in this way and it's going to go down, and they're going to use it for the heater. So make sure that the valve is down. So after many tries, I figured it out. I had to turn the valve. I had to turn the valve perpendicular to the other hose, which helped me get a little bit more room. I had to take the camera out of the way, so you weren't able to see me struggle trying to get that on, but eventually I did get it on and get the clamps tightened up, so I'll get you in there and show you what it looks like. So the valve is perpendicular to the coolant line, running this way, which means the coolant's going to come in and go out down to the heater, which is the way it's supposed to be. And we have these clamps nice and tight. And the bigger, the 5/8 studded part is pointing down at a 45. So now we got to go underneath, slide a clamp on that hose, cut it to length, and push it up on that other barb and tighten everything up. All right, let's get under the machine. Okay, so what I did is I raised it up and I got underneath there and I straightened out where I wanted the line to go. Just fine-tuned it a little bit. Could have put a couple zip ties on the front half, so that isn't going to go anywhere, so it's up out of the way. I ran it on top of the other coolant lines, which should be perfect. So then what I did is I brought it up here so I can get the right length. As you can see, this is way long. As you can see, this is meant for any machine, so the 6-seater would probably need this extra length. So what I did is I just brought it up where I want it to be. I'm going to go down underneath and make sure I got enough slack before I mark it and cut it. Get it where I want it underneath, lower it down again, come up here, and I'll just put a line on there, and then I'll pull it down and cut it down there, and then I can fish it back up here. At least that's my plan, so hopefully it works. I'm going to raise her back up and get it where I want it to be so I can mark it. Okay, so I want this to be attached on the top of these lines like this. So I'm staying as far as I can away from the muffler. So the muffler's right here. So I want to come down. I want to leave some slack so I can zip tie it to here and have it go right up there. Hopefully you can see that. Let me move this out of the way. So there's the valve up there. This is where I want it, to here. So now I can go up there and I can mark it, or if I can reach it from down here, might actually be easier down here. Mark it there. Okay, I cut it to length. Now I'm going to fish it back up there and slide it on that barb. Don't forget to put the clamp on the line before you shove it up there. Okay, I got the clamp up there. Now I decided to move the clamp around, so if I put the clamp on around the other way and put it on from the bottom, if I spun it around and put that screw on the bottom side, it would hit on the valve. So I'm gonna bring it up and I'm gonna put it on from the top so we can be able to turn that valve if he wants to in the summertime to shut that off and just run it regular. He can. So we're gonna run. This is how we're gonna orientate the clamps, so we have full access to the valve if we want to use it. Okay, all the clamps are on and tight. Now I took the vice grips off to allow fluid through, so now it's just a matter of putting a couple more zip ties on this to hold it in place, and then on to the next step. Okay, just a little tip. Put the lower ductwork on before you mount the fan. It is a lot harder to get in there, so this is what I'm doing. I pulled the fan down. Now I can get at it a lot easier with these lower lines and zip tie them on there. Otherwise it's a real bear to get in there. So just want to let you know, do it this way. So I cut two pieces, one at 36, one at 18. Okay, we're going to be putting the 18-inch and the 36-inch on the upper blower ports and attaching them, so later when we put the dash on, it should be a lot easier. Then we can mount the blower. So when you're mounting the uppers, the 18-inch and 36-inch. Remember the short one, the 18-inch one, goes to the passenger side, and the longer one, the 36-inch, goes to the driver's side of the upper ports. So as you're looking at it, the shorter one goes here, the longer one goes here, because this is the passenger side over here. This is the driver's side. Alright, I'm going to get these attached and run them up, and then I can mount the blower. Now that I have all 4 ducts attached, I'm going to pull it up and remount. I'm going to pull it up and mount the blower. Now we're going to attach the motor, blower motor. The right angle drill would be a lot better for this, but I think we can get this. There we go. I'll just run an extension down through the top here for the next one. Get it in place. Extension through the top. There, now the blower motor, all 4 ducts are attached. So in order to get these up on the dash pieces, I just use my thumb again, push them up on there. You hear them go up over the barbs. That's perfect, nice and tight. Grab another zip tie. Get up high on it. Make sure you got it tight all the way around. Nice and snug. Oops. Snug it up. Snip off the excess. Okay, that's the passenger side. Now I got to go to the driver's side. Get that oblong. Just stick it right over that part. Again, using your fingernails and your thumb. Just push it up on there. Push it up as far as you can get it. Up over the barbs. If it helps you, you can use a straight bladed screwdriver. Just be careful not to puncture the duct part of it. There we go. I got it nice up over all the way. Another zip tie. Way up, as far up as you can. Put it as tight as you can. And just snip off the excess. Good to go. Now we just very carefully need to set this in place without kinking any of the hoses, making sure we got all access to all of the electronics for the gauge cluster and for the ride command in the center. Make sure we have access to them, that they didn't fall down inside the dash, and just slowly get it in place. In order to get the dash back in, once you have the ductwork attached to the top louvers, what I did was just very carefully put it on one end over here, and I had it lifted up here, and I flexed it and put it right back into place. And it should sit right down in there nice and tight all the way. Get all your wiring out so it's exposed, so you can hook everything back up. Gauge cluster wiring. Now all I have to do is put all the push pins in the dash and start hooking everything up. So I'm going to put the push pins in. I'll be back in here in a minute. So remember, when hooking up the ride command, everything is color coded, super simple. So we have a black and a blue. There's a black and a blue on the back. Those are round ones. And then the other ones are pretty self-explanatory. They can only go one way. So for the ride command, just push everything in until it clicks. This is what it looks like. Oops. Got them all in there really nice. It all clicked into place. Now these little grooves right here, these little slots on both ends. It's got little things. Got these little things here that go in the groove. So you set it in, and then slide it forward. Slide it forward like that, pick up on it, so it's in nice and tight. You got 2 screws in the back, and then 2 grommets in the back. And it ain't going anywhere. So I have the ride command put in, I have the gauge cluster put in, the dash is in, everything went well. You just gotta take your time, make sure the holes line up for the push pins. If they don't, make sure they do before you try putting them in, otherwise they're a bear. We're gonna hook up the fan now, we're gonna plug it in. So if you remember the rocker switch, one of the wires went up to the front bus bar. We plugged that in earlier, but we have not plugged the fan in yet. So this heater would not work, obviously. It wouldn't blow any air until we hook it up. So we just left the wire hanging until now. So now we're gonna hook that up. It's down under here. So don't put this panel on until you hook up the blower motor. So the wire hanging from the switch is right here. And the blower motor wire is right here. So if you look at it, it's got a little notch right here, and this one has the same thing to match. So the little notch goes in this groove here, so it can only go one way. Push it till it clicks. There we go. There it went. There we go. You can feel it when it goes in, pushing all the way tight, so it looks like that. You'll feel it when it goes all the way. Okay, we're going to tuck this up. We're going to zip tie this up out of the way. Then we're going to put this front panel on. So to make your life easier, take these vents and push them up and out of the way like that, so you can get this in there. Go in there way simpler, otherwise you'll fight it. If you unhook those hoses at this point, oh, it's going to be frustrating. There, that's installed. Now it's all hooked up. So before you start it up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the radiator. I looked inside and it is low. So I'm going to fill the radiator up completely full and then take it for a ride. We don't want to starve it for fluid, so we're going to fill the radiator up. Okay, I got it running. Now we're just going to check for leaks. So we're going to look in the front fitting here. Everything looks good there. I'll check the back fitting. Okay, I'm gonna go run around a little bit and get that coolant worked in there a little bit. Try to get some of the air out. I'm gonna go take it for a ride and I'll be back. So just a tip, putting in a windshield by yourself, no fun. So if you have a heavy glass windshield, you're putting it in yourself, you gotta put it in, you gotta tuck it underneath the roof. So what I used is I used shims. So I can lift it up, put the shims underneath it, hold it in place. And I came in here and locked it in place. So maybe that'll help somebody if you have a heavy glass windshield. They're a pain by yourself. So like I said, use the shim trick. Maybe that'll help somebody out. Hopefully it does. It sure helped me out. All right, let's go take it for a ride. So as far as your door hinges, I have a North Star, but hinge is a hinge is a hinge. They're all the same hinges. So what I like to use is I like to use anti-seize on them. I use the copper anti-seize just because it's high temp. That's what I have in the shop, but any anti-seize will work. Even a thinner oil will work. The problem is like WD-40 works good, but as soon as you go through a puddle and drive in the rain, it washes right off. So I've had better luck with the anti-seize. So just brush it on real lightly, just a very, very, very thin coat. Wipe off all the excess you can because it will stain clothes, it will get on everything, but it works good. Once you got it on your hinge, you shouldn't have to redo it for a long time. So I just take a very little amount possible. Get it all the way around the hinge and just put it on the post part. You don't have to put it on the other half. When it slides in, it will. Like I said, you don't need a lot. Little of this stuff goes a long ways. That'll keep them from rusting, keep water from building up on this, just real light. You just slide the door over that and you're good to go. So I went out and took it for a ride, and it blew heat really good once it warmed up, and our tank didn't go down. So I think by filling up the radiator, topping that off, and then taking it for a ride, I think that really helped. So the coolant level is good. It's actually above cold because now it's warm, so it expanded a little bit. So when it cools down, it should be right down to the cold mark. So yeah, I don't think you have to pre-charge that long line, because I think if you just fill this, gravity will fill it from the radiator. Just remember to top off the radiator before you start it up. And then, yeah, everything looks good. It's blowing hot. It seems to be working good. So hopefully this helped. Any comments, put down in the comment section. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. And I'll be doing more. So yeah. This is the Inferno heater for a 2019. Actually, it works for a 2018 and newer. And the kit comes for a 3-seater or a 6-seater. They have plenty of hose, plenty of vent line. So yeah, works good. So this is Chad from Blueberry Ridge Outdoors signing off. So this job is complete, and stick around for more videos. All right, have a good one.